When you're a person that exists on social media, there are times where you might, unfortunately, find your photos being stolen to support something you don't support, or say that you said something that you didn't say. It's happened to me multiple times, actually. First, when a feminist group stole my photos to use in a gun control campaign and abortion campaign, and again in more recent years when some Liberty personalities I won't name took photos from my and my husband's personal Facebooks to make memes supporting their content. And you know what? Every time, it doesn't feel great. Now, a gun control group has adopted the same tactic, stealing the photos of women shooters and implying these women support their group and the agenda they're pushing, because something moral high ground. Hello everyone and welcome back to the channel. There is a new gun control group climbing up the activism ranks, calling itself 97%. The name comes from the alleged 97% of people, even gun owners, that support gun control, according to them. They say that the other 3% are simply loud voices who have crowded out conversation and prevented collaboration between gun owners and non-gun owners. They've reached this conclusion supposedly by surveying gun owners over the phone. Now, I don't know about you, but if some random number calls me up and starts asking me about my guns, I am not saying shit. I would imagine that there are many people that feel similarly. So this is a clear problem with their methods and one that they don't address. Nonetheless, the group, which claims to represent gun owners and looks to include them in the solutions to gun violence, acts like the group is made up entirely of gun owners. But a reading of the fine print, well, really the bold print, shows otherwise. It's headed by a former Homeland Security and Counterterrorism advisor, and the board consists of a former president of the Brady campaign, an anti-gun musician, a former, quote, moderate Republican congressman who introduced a bump stock ban bill and called on Congress to pass more gun control, another moderate Republican, aka Rhino, who endorsed Joe Biden for president and a bunch of gun control, a Democratic rep from New York, a former member of the Obama administration, and a few other randos. The group was the subject of a Second Amendment Foundation special report just a couple of weeks ago, which found, surprise, that the group hails from California and is 100% anti-gun. They support things like assault weapons bans, think people with misdemeanor charges should lose their Second Amendment rights forever, want a gun registry, think that ARs are weapons of war, and that's just the tip of the iceberg. The group says that their mission is to bring gun owners to the table and leverage technology. Apparently, dishonestly. But before I get into the delicious details, here is a word about today's sponsor, because your photos aren't the only things that can get stolen on the internet. As you can imagine, being a mom with my face plastered on the internet, I like to try to keep my personal information as private as possible. But with the rise in social media and internet use, every time we go online, we become the product. There are companies out there called data brokers whose entire purpose is to collect huge amounts of personally identifiable information from government records and social media, and then sell that information to the highest bidder, and that bidder likely does not have your best interest in mind. Delete Me works to remove your personal information from hundreds of data brokers and websites, and they continually search and delete that information if and when it pops up in new places. And trust me, it will pop up in new places. Once they find your data, they work to remove it as fast as possible, sometimes in as little as 48 hours. Every 60 days, they run another scan and give you a full report of every website searched, every site that had your information, what information the site had, and every site they're removing it from. And now, to help me bring you guys the same peace of mind, Delete Me is offering my viewers 20% off of their consumer plan using code LibertyDoll at my link joindeleteme.com/LibertyDoll. So check them out today to get control of your information. Now back to 97%. Their site features 2 perfect marketing quotes from alleged gun owners like this gem. I know I wouldn't be affected by stronger background checks or mental health screenings and other programs like that, so I'm all for any legislation that keeps guns out of the hands of people who are incapable of using them responsibly. That type of legislation is inherently good, and it's not hard for me to get behind, says Taylor, a gun owner, wink wink. And that's just one example. One day they're claiming they think everyone should have due process before losing their guns. The next they're demanding a federal red flag law. One moment they're saying they're not gun grabbers, the next they're posting gun owner quotes calling for gun confiscation because gun owners are holding America hostage with essentially machine guns that could be no match for the government. It's like all of the classic talking points and buzzwords are just shoved into every quote they have. So knowing who they're lying about who they are, what they support, and their methods, it's not surprising that they're also trying to gaslight the public into believing that big names in the firearms industry also support them. Recently, the group started a Women's History Month campaign where they tweeted photos and personal information of 9 female shooters and Second Amendment advocates, 6 living and 3 deceased. They included Julie Golub, Rhonda Ezell, who co-founded Chicago Guns Matter, and Olympian Kim Rhode, among others. The tweets containing their photos have since been deleted, but we do have the evidence of a couple of them thanks to the Second Amendment Foundation. Here they are, highlighted with pretty little bios in the group's signature colors and style and font with a pretty little 97% logo. As if they're promotional materials that these women specifically made for the group. Golub told the Second Amendment Foundation, "I did not endorse their message. I gave no permission for the photo. It is unfair to use my image and likeness to give the perception that I support what they are all about. I certainly don't. And the fact that it was used for Women's History Month is insulting." She responded directly on X, which is what prompted the takedown. Ezell said that her photo was taken right from the Chicago Guns Matter website, again without permission. She said she hadn't even heard of the group before this, had never been contacted by them, and has since contacted an attorney. And I honestly really hope that something comes out of it because otherwise they'll just keep doing it or they'll try and do something even shadier. My money is on both. Either way, it takes some brass balls to do that on social media. I'm assuming thinking that these women would never find out, that no one would ever tag them or tweet them or that they wouldn't see it. I mean, that's just dumb considering these people are famous. I mean, I don't follow any of these women on social media and I have even heard their names. Like, what did they think was going to happen here? And honestly, I am glad that the photos were taken down and Julie and the others don't have to worry about that anymore or be associated with them, but I am disappointed that I don't get to read some of the replies because I'm sure there were some good ones. But at the end of the day, the group is no different than any of the other anti-gun groups out there. They pretend to be different by pretending to represent gun owners, but if they have to lie, steal, and plagiarize to do it, I think it's a sign that they're not getting very far on their own. After all, if 97% of people, including gun owners, really supported the things that this group claims they do, the group wouldn't need to exist because all of those things would already be law. All right, folks, I am wrapping this one up quick because there is very loud Lion King playing in the background to keep the toddler happy, and I am afraid I'm going to get a copyright strike over it. So, you guys know the drill for all of the algorithm things, and as always, thanks for tuning in, and happy shooting.